Today I've got a really fun episode planned for you. Not only are we going to be doing some high-end designer dupes, but we're going to start by doing a little field trip because I've got a fun announcement and a big giveaway. It's an action-packed episode. You're not going to want to miss a second of it. So let's get on the road and see where I'm headed. So for our first knockoff, we are going to be knocking off an item from Pottery Barn that retails for around $79, and that's without shipping, without tax, and all of that. It's a peony arrangement in a vase, which I've done similar things in the past, and they're always so much fun because they are very easy to do. So what I did is I found this floral bunch from Walmart that had some peonies in it. They were a little bit brighter and a little bit more orangey than our inspiration one, so I popped off the heads of these, took them outside with a little bit of extra pink and white spray paint that I had on hand, and I kind of just did a light dusting over them to kind of mute out the orange just a little bit. And I'm not going to charge myself anything for it because it's not really necessary for the finished look, but I was just trying to get it as close as I could to the inspiration one, and I didn't spend any money on the paint. But I've also found really good peonies at Hobby Lobby and other stores. They're just a little bit more expensive, and I'm trying to keep the cost down, so keep that in mind. There are peonies that are even a little bit closer match. You may want to check those out. So once that was fully dry, I reattached them to the floral bunch and clipped off the flowers that we were going to be using. Then I set the rest of the floral bunch aside for a future project. And then I also found this greenery at Walmart that was, it's called Dusty Miller, and it's about $3 per each bunch, and I ended up using about 1.5 bunches of that. And then I just kind of clipped them into little sections, and then I just kind of made like a little hand bouquet, you know, making sure it was short enough for what we were working on. Then I took some floral tape and taped it all together, very similar to the inspiration one, and that was good to go. Now let's talk about the vase. I found this vase very beautiful, very solid, very chunky, about the right shape, about the right size at the thrift store. It was $2, but it was on a 50% off day, so it was $1 for this beautiful, high quality looking vase. So that's my suggestion to you, is to keep checking out the thrift stores. Go back, check them out, and you can usually find pretty close to what you're in need of, and that's what we did here for only $1. Such a deal. So now we needed the faux water. Now I've actually used the faux water kits in the past that you can get at the craft store or your Walmart. They're a 2-part epoxy kit that you kind of put together, mix, and they harden really nicely. Well, I've been noticing on TikTok that some people have been using this clear glue in lieu of these water kits, and I thought I would give it a try. So I got this huge bottle of it at Walmart on clearance for like $15. I barely used any of it at all. And so I poured about, oh, I don't know, like an inch or so into the bottom of the base, similar to the inspiration one. And I'm gonna tell you, it's been a few days and it's still not dry. That's frustrating because the epoxy kits, they dry within like 12 hours and then they're like rock solid and they're not going anywhere. My other concern about the glue is I do feel like it could get cloudy and yellow over time, but it is a very affordable option, and if you're looking for a more affordable option, that is a good route to go. But from what I've read is it might take anywhere from a week to 3 weeks for it to fully dry. That's crazy to me. If I were to do this all over again, I'd probably just use my epoxy kit, spend a little bit more, and get a better finished product in the end. Where did I end up? Let's see, it was like $1 for a vase, $3 for the flowers, about $4.50 for the greenery, then a little bit for the glue. All in, I'm about $9. Our inspiration was about $80. Mine was $9. If you added on tax and shipping and all of that, we definitely would be really close to that 10% mark where I'm always trying to hit on my knockoffs. I did pretty good. And I really feel like this is a very close match. And $80 versus $9, I like those savings. I think that it turned out super close to the original one. But what do you think? knockoff comes from West Elm, and it's this beautiful kind of gold tray. Now the inspiration one, I think it was actually made out of wood, but it kind of had like this metallic finish that made it look kind of like a brass tray. And it sells for about $44 at West Elm. And I thought, we could do this for a whole lot less. And so on one of my thrift trips, I found this gold tray that it was kind of a plastic gold tray, but it was already gold, and it was about the right size, the right shape. It had the handles. It looked really, really close to the inspiration one. Now the gold tray, like I said, it was kind of like a plastic one, but it was like a heavy plastic one. The finish was not in fantastic shape, but that was no matter because we were going to take it home and use some rub and buff on it. And that's what I did, is I took 3 different colors of rub and buff. I believe I used antique gold, Grecian gold, and European gold, and I kind of layer them on one at a time. So I take one color, put that on, take the next, layer that on, and then the next, and layer that on. And then if it was heavy in one spot, I would go back with the one color and kind of just give it this really cool kind of sponged on patina. And I use these little sea sponges for that. I went all the way around, and by the time you were done, you would never guess that this was plastic. It looks so beautiful. In fact, if I might be so bold, I like personally this tray better than the inspiration one. I like the patina of it better. I think it looks a little bit nicer. The sponging effect that they did on the West Elm one is all very consistent, and if you like that, that's great, but I kind of like the variation of my tray versus theirs. But again, it's a very similar look. My end cost, by the time you include the $3 tray that I got at the thrift store and a little bit of rub and buff, which goes a long way, I'm all in at about $4.50 versus the $44 of the original one, not including taxes or anything like that. And I'm about 10% of the cost, and I love those savings. I think it's a really good knockoff, but what do you think? So I'm at my destination, and yes, it is Books A Million. What on earth am I doing at Books A Million? Am I gonna DIY something? I don't know. You're gonna have to stay tuned. And in the meantime, then here's another DIY. Okay, so I promised you easy dupes for this episode, and so far, how am I doing? So far, I feel like I'm doing pretty good, but I don't know. You'll have to let me know in the comment section below. Don't answer until you see this next one, because it is by far and away the easiest of them all, and with the biggest cost savings. So I found these color block vases on Pottery Barn, and they retail for, get this, $149. And when I first saw these, I'm like, $149? I can totally knock this off with ease. All you're gonna need is kind of a jar-shaped vase in the similar shape as theirs. Now, I found the one that I'm gonna use at Target Dollar Spot during Christmas for $3. And so they may not have them now. I think they should bring them back for any season because it's a really good vase. And it was only $3. If you don't have that as an option, I also found this larger option at IKEA that was like kind of the bottom section of a jar. And I believe it's about $6. And so not too terribly much more. And it's also a much larger vase. But again, you could check out your thrift stores and try to find like a jar or something in a similar shape. It shouldn't be too terribly difficult to do. And then here's what we're gonna do. Anybody can do this, I promise. We took 2-inch wide painter's tape, and I kind of went around the edge and just made little marker spots for it. Then I took another row of blue painter's tape and circled the entire thing, make sure it was sealed down really, really good. And then I removed those little guide mark ones. And then we took a plastic grocery bag, kind of tied it around the top, tucked it down into the vase, and then took another row of painter's tape and taped that on so that we wouldn't get any overspray onto the rest of the the vase, because what we're gonna do is take it outside, pick your favorite color of spray paint. I am using this Laurel Green by Rust-Oleum, I believe, in a high gloss finish. So that's the key, is you want it in a high gloss finish. And I did 2 coats. Now you could do 2 to 3 coats. A little pro tip for you is you want to spray them every 15 minutes or so, and you don't want to go too long because sometimes it can have a weird crackling effect if it's not fully dry and you're like applying more spray paint. So every 15 minutes till you've got your 2 to 3 coats on, and then you're going to let it really dry. And I would give it several hours before you mess with it. Just let it really dry. And then you peel off your tape, pull out the plastic bag, and there you have it. It's literally just spray painting the bottom of a vase. Super easy. And guess where mine came in? Mine came in at $4.50 versus $149. That's like highway robbery. But not my version, of course. As far as a knockoff, I really feel this is really close to spot on. And again, you could use the same kind of idea in lots of different ways. Any color you want, super easy. Put some flowers in it and you have a beautiful piece for anywhere in your home at a tiny fraction of the original cost. For our next knockoff, it is also from Pottery Barn, and it's these concrete fluted pots, and they range anywhere from about $35 to $250 depending on the size, and we are going to do it for a fraction of the cost. You can find these fluted containers so many different places. I got mine at the thrift store, and I'm just gonna kind of do the smaller size, but these fluted containers are pretty easy to come by. I think I've seen them recently even at like Home Goods and some of your other home stores. So you can find them, and you can definitely find them at the thrift store. So I'm doing their extra small size, which I think retails for about $35. I found my pot at a thrift store for $1.99. So that was a good score. It was the wrong color. I sprayed the underside in a matte black spray paint, and then I flipped it over and sprayed the inside in the matte black spray paint. Make sure it's got good coverage and let that fully dry, and that was it for it. Now, even using the matte black spray paint that I already had on hand, it's not something that I bought specifically for this project. If I was buying specifically for this project and I was really trying to go for that concrete effect, I would definitely recommend doing something even more. I think there's a spray paint out there called Dead Flat Black spray paint. So the matte black has a little tiny sheen to it. It's not glossy, but there is kind of a prettier sheen to it. And that is a little bit different than the Inspiration one. I would also recommend maybe even doing like a chalkboard spray paint or even chalk paint, and that will give you a much more muted, matted down look. But if you want just kind of the essence of it, the spray paint is totally the way to go. All in, I'm gonna call it $250 because I used some spray paint, and it was so easy. It took me a matter of less than a minute or two active time. Drying time, obviously there's a little extra, but for $2.50 versus $35 for their small version, I mean, really, this is a pretty good match. I really like how this turned out versus theirs, but what do you think? So it's true, I am being featured in Women's Day magazine's March issue as a YouTube creator to watch. Right over here next to Liz Fenwick and Jay Money, both really awesome content creators as well. And as a little thank you to you, because I know it wouldn't have been possible without your amazing support, I'm going to be doing a giveaway where I want you to take a selfie like this and then post it to your social media accounts. And here is our social media information here. Make sure to tag us. The most creative selfie will get a $250 Amazon gift card, plus a 1-year subscription to Women's Day magazine, and 10 random lucky people who also participate will get a 1-year subscription to Women's Day magazine. This has no affiliation with the magazine. It's just something I wanted to do to kind of give back, because I know that this wouldn't have been possible without you. So thank you so much. It's a fun little thing that I got to share with you today, and it's all because of you. I just want to thank you once again from the bottom of my heart for making that happen. I mean, that was so fun. And so I hope you liked what you saw here, and come back with me each week. I'll try to bring you quality content that you will love. And if you enjoyed this episode, here's another episode that has 25 more knockoffs in it. You'll definitely want to check that out. And to all of my DIY Niners, I just want to remind you once again that you are more powerful than you know. We'll see you next time. Bye.